Financial Slavery by Marion S. McIntosh. Now, I bought into the slavery that is the American dream. Be smart, go to college, get a good job, and work for somebody else. Buy a car or two and a house. Get married, start a family, and create others to repeat the cycle all over again. The car will hunker you down with debt for anywhere from 5 to 10 years. The house will hit you for around 30 years, and the interest will cause you to pay 3 times what the house is actually worth. Daycare will strain you for the first 4 years of your child's lives, unless you're fortunate enough to have an older relative or parent who will provide the service for little or nothing. Never mind clothing, food, and shelter that you will have to provide for your family. The real money is spent when they get older, when the fat cats in the education racket would charge your children house notes worth of student loans just to get a degree that doesn't necessarily guarantee a job that will help you pay those loans back when you get out. And try getting married and starting a family with mountains of debt. That is, if you're lucky enough to be a part of the talented 10th, fortunate enough to graduate with a college degree or two. Now, of course, there are those who are winning, so to speak. Those with full scholarships, good jobs, no student loans, or who are good stewards of money. Those people aren't as enslaved as most. However, it's still difficult to escape the slavery of car notes and mortgages. Now, not to make this about me, as I wouldn't characterize myself as winning. I don't necessarily have the lead, but I'm still in the game. With a low seed, of course. Okay. Enough of the Final Four analogies. But let me break this down for you. We get caught up in a lot of internal battles. Men versus women, black versus white, liberal versus conservative, Democrat versus Republican, common sense versus Tea Party. However, the most critical internal battle is the one that most of us are overlooking. This is rich versus poor, haves versus have-nots. It is fierce out here when it comes to this money. The white people in the trailer park have more in common with the black people in the hood than those of us who live in subdivisions. Blacks and whites who live next to one another by the golf courses have more in common than those of us stuck in the garden homes with 30-year mortgages. And the system of financial slavery is set up to maintain this hierarchy. They tell you must have a credit card to establish credit. Why? Am I not fiscally responsible enough to save money, live below my means, pay all my bills on time, and buy only what I can afford without the assistance of a credit card? However, by not utilizing a credit card, you avoid the interest payments that make people rich and the middle class and poor people poor. And try having bad credit. This causes you to have to pay higher interest rates on everything requiring financing. Cars and houses are the main culprits and pawns keeping us financially enslaved. Purchase a car or a home that you cannot afford. Get it repossessed or foreclosed on, and you spend the rest of your life just trying to break even. And the inadequacies and the inequalities in the education system are the other pawns in the institution of financial slavery. Live in a bad neighborhood with a low-quality public school, you're already losing. Chances are it will be difficult to get a scholarship to college that will help you avoid a mountain of debt when you get out. That is by design. Many will encourage you not to pursue college. Family members, in some instances, you'll be encouraged to search for, quote unquote, a blue collar job or work in something that doesn't require a degree and leaves you more exposed to unemployment during an economic downturn. In other instances, many will use that as an excuse to run the streets, hustle, whatever you want to call it, until you end up in the criminal justice system, which keeps judges, attorneys, and prison owners wealthy. They are prisons on the stock exchange. And your slavery goes from financial to institutional under the disguise of corrections. Further, the gatekeepers of the laws governing tax structure are mostly wealthy. There are 261 millionaires in Congress out of a possible 535. And I guarantee you the rest of them aren't broke. A mere 400 people in America control over 50% of the wealth. And less than 1% of Americans are millionaires. So let me break this down for you. There are over 300 million people in America. Now imagine all 308 million of us sitting in a circle, and we put all the money in the United States in the middle of that circle. And you mean to tell me 400 people go to the middle of the circle and take half of it, and they leave the rest of us, the other 300 and some odd million people, to fight over what's left? So it doesn't surprise me that many of the millionaires would rather keep their money and sell our debt to China than to raise taxes on themselves. They would rather place the burden on the other 99% of us who aren't millionaires, and also cut programs and spending that benefit the 99% of us as well. Now, I don't mean to paint a pessimistic view of our country. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but the United States of America, and certainly would not want to deal with the atrocities and pursuit of basic freedoms such as those in Libya, Egypt, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. However, let's be clear. America has already gone through what those countries are experiencing today. The American Revolution, the Middle Passage, the Trail of Tears, Manifest Destiny, slavery and the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, etc. were all filled with atrocities, terrorism, and genocide more brutal than anything going on today in the Middle East that luckily we do not have to experience much of today. However, make no mistake, we have to overcome the institution of financial slavery as well. And those other countries, as they grow and as they mature, will have to overcome financial slavery as the next phase of their freedom in the years to come. Now, the question is, how do we overcome financial slavery? Now, there is no simple answer or quick fix. The struggle to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots will likely be incremental and generational. The old money may or may not run out, but that doesn't mean new money has to be suppressed. My way is a work in progress, as I'm learning as I go, but allow me to share some of them with you. First and foremost, education is the great equalizer. Do everything you possibly can to get the best education you possibly can at the lowest cost possible. And stress, encourage, and assist siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews, children's, mentees, etc. to that end. I always tell young people when I speak that the grades you make are in direct relation to how much money you're going to earn in the future. And if you're blessed enough to have a little bit of change left over after you pay everybody else, send your relatives in college a little something every now and then. Invest in education. Student loans suck. However, scholarships, working through school, etc. are weapons that the have-nots can utilize to mitigate the adverse effect of student loans on our financial futures. Further, we must teach ourselves and young people about money. It's a shame that folk are ending up on college campuses unable to budget, manage checking accounts and saving accounts, but we must empower our young people with the knowledge of banking, investing, real estate, etc., so as to not be fearful of the stock market and the economy and other opportunities we have to build our wealth and escape the rat race. Financial discipline is another weapon in our arsenal when it comes to escaping financial slavery. It involves saving as much money as possible. Living check to check plays right into the hands of employers and creditors who know you're at their mercy. Living below your means and avoiding interest rates improves your financial health. Rule of thumb is to build up at least 6 months of salary in the event that you